the fire and snow. Voices of an in the cold wind blow.
Shadows in the night, but the stars still glow. If I fall tonight, let the whole world know.
Calling me home where the old gods stand. Through the storm and the blood red sand, the sky falls down and the rivers run slow. Hear my name in the winter snow.
We are first-year Human Resource Management students. Group 10 members representing on the topic, if critical thinking is so important for development, why do people, even the educated, fail to think critically?
I'm here to give an introduction on the topic, if critical thinking is so critical to development, why do people, even the educated people, find it difficult to think critically? Critical thinking is widely regarded as one of the important skills for personal, professional, and societal development. It involves the ability to analyze information objectively, evaluate evidence, identify assumptions, and reach reasoned conclusions. Critical thinking is important because it promotes effective decision making, promotes innovation, and problem solving. Despite all this importance, people still struggle to think critically. This raises the topic, if critical thinking is important, why do people find it difficult to think critically? The reason is that many things affect how we think. Emotions, culture, and opinions of others often influence people on the way they think. The reason why educated people really find it difficult to think critically is because they are more into memorizing information rather than analyzing information and question ideas.
To continue with what my fellow colleagues said, I'm here to talk on the cases of critical thinking and why critical thinking matters. Cases of critical thinking are simply the situation where people have to think carefully before making a decision or solving a problem. Instead of acting quickly or relying on assumptions, they have to take their time to gather information, analyze situation, and choose the best solution. Why critical thinking matters? Critical thinking matters because it shapes our mind to think carefully before making a decision. It also helps us develop problem solving, improve our judgment, and make informed choices in school, work, and our everyday life. Thank you.
Talking about heuristics and emotional reasoning. Heuristics are mental shortcuts that are taken to help us make decisions quicker. They save a lot of time, but sometimes lead to wrong judgment because we do not have all the facts. For example, we might assume someone is unfriendly because they do not smile a lot, or mistake a well-dressed person to be wealthy without actually knowing them. This shows how first-time impressions can be misleading. Moving on from there, we talk about emotional reasoning. This happens when people believe something just based on their emotions without analyzing the evidence that has been placed in front of them. Our emotions can influence the way we think critically, making it difficult for us to accept these facts. For example, a student who wrote an exam might feel that he or she should have scored higher in exams based on how he or she is feeling. Or otherwise, in the same way, someone might refuse to admit he or she was wrong because they might feel embarrassed or disappointed. In conclusion, critical thinking is challenging because our minds are influenced by mental shortcuts, emotions, and personal biases. These factors can stop us from thinking critically or objectively. To become better critical thinkers, we need to be self-aware, open-minded, and willing to examine evidence before making conclusions.
And presenting on cognitive bias and psychological barriers. People naturally have mental bias that affects how they process information. For example, confirmation bias, the tendency to seek, interpret, and remember information that supports existing belief while ignoring contradictory evidence. When we talk about this, what does it mean? It means this is where you only think or notice info that agrees with what you already think and ignore the stuff that doesn't. Example, if you think iPhones are better, you will only remember the good things about iPhones and ignore the bad things. And my second point is For the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's when you think you are an expert in doing something whilst you have a little knowledge about it. Whilst you have a little knowledge about it, but rather the expert thinks they know less about it. Example, when Pas A watches video on how to fix a breakdown of car numerous times, he thinks he's an expert, but the one who invented the procedures to fix it thinks less of himself.
And I'm here to talk about social barriers to critical thinking. They are the social influence that discourage questioning and hinder independence. They also cause objection to open-minded analysis that may include social conformity, echo chambers, and others. When it comes to the social conformity is the fear of criticism and rejection that may prevent people from expressing independent view and pressure them to agree with the objection and behavior of a group of people. Also, the echo chambers are mainly environments which exposes people to online platforms whereby the information and opinion changes their existing beliefs.
I get to present on how sometimes education is a barrier to critical thinking. Educational barriers are challenges in the education system that can make learning difficult for students. These challenges may affect how students understand lessons, gain knowledge, and develop thinking skills. And I have two common educational barriers. That is root learning cultures. This happens when students are expected to memorize information and repeat it in exams instead of fully understanding what they are learning. As a result, students may find it difficult to think creatively or solve problems on their own. 2. Authority difference. This is when students are used to accepting everything teachers and other authority figures say without asking questions. This can make students less confident and share their own ideas and thinking independently. These are barriers that can make it difficult for students to become active learners who can think on themselves and make decisions.
I'm presenting on why education does not guarantee critical thinking. Education does not guarantee critical thinking because our traditional education system rewards knowledge retention and memorization rather than independent analysis. Some individuals possess vast amounts of acquired knowledge but fail to apply critical thoughts. Some root causes are performative compliance. In this case, a student learns to earn a degree rather than embrace ambiguity. Another cause is over-specialization. This is when an individual becomes an expert in one thing but loses flexibility in another field. So in effect, education does not guarantee critical thinking because students are taught what to think rather than how to think.
I'm talking about pathway forward in critical thinking. Pathway forward in critical thinking simply means the steps or processes that guides an individual to think critically. 1. Drawing logical conclusions. Drawing logical conclusions simply means making decisions based on facts and evidences rather than guesses or emotions. For example, if a student studies regularly and gets good grades, we can draw a logical conclusion that studying regularly brings academical success. 2. Reflecting on decision-making process. Reflecting on decision-making process simply means looking back at our decision or thinking to see whether they were correct or effective. We ask the question, did I make the right decision or what could I have done differently? 3. Applying solutions and evaluating outcomes. This means putting our decision into action and checking the results. After solving a problem, we ask the question whether the solution worked and what lessons can be learned from it.
Critical thinking involves analyzing information carefully, evaluating evidences, and making reasoned judgments. Some important pathway forwards in critical thinking is 1. Questioning assumptions. Do not accept information at face value. Always ask why the thing the person is saying is true and what evidence supports it.
I'll be talking on the conclusion about the reason why we study critical thinking. Critical thinking is not mainly about what we think, but how we think. By cultivating it, we strengthen our ability to reason, communicate, and act with integrity. Critical thinking is essential for collective progress. In a world saturated with misinformation and debate, critical thinking equips individuals and societies to navigate uncertainty with clearness and fairness. So let's commit to nurturing this skill of studying critical thinking. For in doing so, we empower ourselves, our community, and the future generations on wisdom and integrity to be able to think critically.